Great, thanks,
Sorry.
Jenny. How are you?
I'm good. My brain is not functioning, so clearly I'm like, oh. Anyway, I'm here. It's Friday. It's amazing. It's a beautiful day in Brisbane, and I'm excited in my new office. So things are pretty good.
It's a beautiful day here in Bangalore too. I love this time of winter where it's sunny, beautiful days and crisp evenings. It's very, very gorgeous. And today we're talking about part 2 of how to know when it's the right time to grow your business. And of course, both you and I love these topics. So let's get stuck in, Jenny.
I know. I think we were going to talk about it a couple of weeks ago, but unfortunately you weren't able to join us that week. So I kind of started my little kind of soapbox about the discussion around why we should grow and when you should grow and the questions you might want to ask yourself. But I thought with you've had such a change in your business over the last couple of years, and particularly we were talking at how your team is growing exponentially this year. And we thought, why not re-talk about this? Because it's such an important topic, especially now as we're getting into the end of the kind of calendar year and people are starting to see maybe contracts come in or see their business grow. And they're like, oh, what's next for me?
You know what? Yes, you're right. But I would like to actually bring up something quite important at the moment, which I strongly feel that this has always been a problem, right? That we look on social media and we think everyone else is doing better than we are.
Yeah.
And it's a massive, massive issue. But the other day, I was having a really great chat with someone I've known in business for well over a decade now in the e-commerce space, and what I would call phenomenally successful. She has warehouses in different parts of the world. She's got, just thousands and thousands of stockists all over the world, a very, very high-end, glorious children's product, and just phenomenal. Her own warehouse here as well, and, blah, blah, blah. She told me the other day that she's been working as a carer to try and pay the grocery bills.
Wow.
The stress that it's put on her family, and for a while there her husband had stopped his own work and was working with her, then they realized they couldn't make that work, and it just broke my heart listening to her and feeling like it was just crumbling around her. And yet all I kept thinking was, the world sees you and your business as the most incredibly successful
business
entity out there. Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of talking about growing, from what I've watched on the sidelines is her growth and growth and growth and growth. But then what she was saying is that a lot of those growth things she's done have actually cost her so much money, and they've been ginormous mistakes. And she needed to pull back and all of that. Anyway, so it has a happy ending. She tried to sell it, couldn't sell it. So what she's actually doing is giving it away, which is just mind-blowing, selling the stock, but giving away the business. But the interesting thing is that she's actually managed to get a job paying, incredible money, an amazing job that she's thrilled to have. And I said, oh, how do you feel about being, 8 to 5 or 9 to 6 or whatever, and just under the pump? And she's like, I'm stoked because I'll leave at the end of the night and it's done. And my brain's not full of it. And on the weekend, stuff it, I'm done. So it was really, really, really interesting. And it's having that chat, and I've thought about it a lot over the last week, and that perception around what's happening. So for example, yes, in my business, there has been growth and therefore the need for new staff, etc. But that doesn't mean like outrageous growth. And, at the end of the day, we're all still doing the do, so it's very interesting, isn't it? Perceptions of things.
It is. And I think that perception thing is the challenge. I mean, we've talked about this before, that when you look at what someone is doing online and you go, oh my God, I want to be like you, all you can see are the good things that they're showing you online. They're not showing you this week, we've been so busy this week. I had 2 evenings where I finished at 12:30 in the morning. So, I worked during the day, did my client meetings. I had 3 hours in the afternoon with my family. And at 8 o'clock when they went to bed, I went back to my computer. So, there's that balance, and that trade-off is, if you want to have growth and want to actually have this success based on what public success is, which is generally revenue based. And we've talked about the fact that revenue based is not necessarily a measure of success. we've been really lucky this year. We've had massive growth. We've doubled this year, and we're probably going to double again in the coming year. We've already got that pipeline, which is freaking exciting. But for me, I'm terrified, because when I started the company, there's this beautiful book that a friend of mine, Andrew, shared with me from Paul Jarvis, called A Company of One. And it talks about the power of actually having a company of one and not having an empire, not having to, and when you're saying company of one, that doesn't mean only you in the business. You can have a couple of people helping you. But the idea being that it's not about building an empire. It's not about actually getting as big as you possibly can. It's actually about working within the, what is the size of the optimum size of the business that's going to work for you and your family. And to your colleague who's had that kind of massive public success, it got too big for her and her family, because it was that kind of, you got on the bandwagon, you got on the roller coaster, and it just never ended. And I think that's the thing we forget, isn't it? That sometimes you can have a highly profitable business because it's profit in the long run. The short term is revenue, the long run is profit. And so you don't have to have a high profit to sell, but you still need to be having a little bit of black in there over time to make sure that it's sustainable from a cash flow perspective. And so, we've been really lucky, but we're having this exact conversation at the moment because we potentially have 3 more contracts coming on, which I'm so excited about, because I can't say no, and I struggle to say no at anything, but they're beautiful contracts. And that's the thing. I'm not saying yes to just any contract. The contracts that are coming to us are just beautiful pieces of work. And so I'm now torn, like, this is a piece of work I want to do. I want to have my hands on. I want to be involved in. But the trade-off is there's going to be evenings where I'm working till 12:30. And so I try to limit those 2 a week. I know that sounds like, why are you doing at least 2 a week? But 2 a week is all I do, which means I don't have to work on the weekends. And I make that trade-off. But this growth concept of, well, do I get another consultant? Well, I could probably triple. But that doesn't mean it's going to be better or more successful.
And the question is, do you want to?
That's exactly right. So that's why, my friend reminded me when I was talking this week about the company of one, and he reminded me, which is why it's relevant today. And I thought, I'm going to go back and put the audiobook back on and listen to it again, just to remind myself. And if anyone's thinking about growing and looking to what they want to do in business, it's a beautiful book to get to look up. If you go to our website under recommended reads, the Elephant in the Room website, we have A Company of One, a hyperlink to, I think, Amazon or somewhere that you can purchase it. We don't have an affiliate code. It's just a link, so you can find it easier. But it's that idea of, do I remain small and happy and balanced and have this freedom, or do we grow and grow and grow and grow and grow? And they're not always, neither is right and neither is wrong, right?
What about the saying, make hay while the sun shines? Because you never know what's around the corner. So, if it's coming at you right now, I kind of think, grab it with both hands and run and enjoy it, because goodness knows what might be happening next.
And that's exactly what the conversation we had. So we had such a successful year last year. We were able to pull together a deposit for a new home. Like, to be able to get a deposit within 6 months for a house is phenomenal. But we actually decided to take advantage of that. Instead of sort of saying wait and wait and wait, we said, let's take advantage of the fact that we've had success right now. And in this moment, let's actually celebrate that success with a property that we can be proud of, that we can live in, that will actually grow as an asset with us. And so by having that kind of shift, we're saying, yeah, let's do that now. So that means now, we've the cash flow has changed because it's now in the house. And so that's still a stress. So it looks like, again, it looks publicly, I've had a great year, I've bought a new house. That doesn't mean our cash flow is exceptional. That means it's going to have that impact. And so as a business owner, particularly when you're looking at those growth phases and expansion, it's the trade-off. If we hire a new staff member, what's the cost of that every week that I now have to bear? And do I have the contract long-term, or is it only a 1-year contract? So that make hay where the sun shines, I think, is really important. But it's also about saying, balance that with, how long is it going to be? What commitment are you bringing to yourself? And is it sustainable in that long term?
100%. And also, what about, like you said, having a new staff member? That's great. Can you sustain it, et cetera, et cetera? But also, what about on top of that is, what about the fact that that's one more person to people manage? And that to me is the massive challenge. So at the end of the day, there's always going to be issues around, people in a team. So I feel like every single member of my team have incredible value that they bring. But of course, everyone still has days where they're off their game, or, you know, periods where they're off their game or whatever, you know, and like, it's time to remind everybody about what we're all doing here and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So that takes time. It takes time to train them. It takes time to be, you know, even running performance appraisals. It takes time to be constantly, you know, growing and all of that. So the bottom line, I think, is when you decide, is it the right time to grow and how do I want to grow? It's also, do I actually want to grow? Or am I happy with where we're at right now?
And I think also, not only is it, do I want to, it's how do I want to grow? So for us, we were always looking to build an online coaching program. And it was only at the start of the year, we said, actually for us, that didn't feel aligned to me as a person. Running an online coaching program where there's arm's length connection, I can't see if people are even doing the content. And my colleagues went, why does it matter if they're going to pay for it and buy it? Why does it matter whether they watch it? But for me, it's a kind of a really important thing. So we decided not to do that. So while our consulting business has been going phenomenally strong, the trade-off for us is that we haven't been focusing on growing our coaching business. So we have some beautiful clients that we've worked with for a long time and we love them, but we want to actually grow that and continue to grow that. So we've actually made a decision that we're actually going to grow that into the US because it's a different market and I can balance that and I can promote it in the US, run the coaching programs from the US at a different time zone here to Australia. So I can actually still grow the business and still maintain my consulting business. So that allows me to actually then manage that kind of the time zones and manage the kind of delivery. But it also means that I have to change what I'm doing. I have to then go, okay, if I'm going to just grow a purely online coaching business, that changes what we do, how we deliver it. I'm so used to doing 3-day retreats, which I love and I still always do. But it's also saying, well, if I have a business that is able to scale online, is that what I want to do? And if that is, how do I do that? Is that like a quick, let's just get it done and we start scaling tomorrow? Or is it you want to build up to that? Do you want to actually start building, you know, all the systems first? And so asking how you want to grow your business, it doesn't have to be you doing the work. It doesn't even have to be a team kind of face to face. You can scale it online if that aligns with who you are and what you want to do. And I know that's kind of what, you know, that's that kind of annuity and ongoing revenue and the kind of evergreen stuff that people just pay for without you even trying. And so there's ways to do that, but you just need to make sure it's aligned with who you are as a business, that you're still giving the message, but you're still giving value.
And, you know, Jenni, I've bought a few courses lately because I've been doing a bit of research on platforms, actually. So I thought buy the course and then see how that's working. Do you know what? I haven't started any of them. They're just
Me too.
Ready to do. Not one person has followed up and said, oh, we noticed that you haven't begun the process. So is there any issue with that? Do you need some support through that? Oh, we noticed you haven't joined the Facebook group yet, or whatever. It's like, so really, it literally is just take your money and off you go. You're on your own, which is, I just think is extraordinary.
And that's my challenge. And
like you is that these online courses we've been building out haven't been going full steam ahead, probably because I'm just trying to figure out how will that be different, because I don't want anyone to buy it and not do it. Because then I'd rather than just, if you haven't started in 30 days and it doesn't feel right for you, here's your money back.
Yeah. And I think I have had the same issue. In fact, as I was prepping and thinking about this work for our conversation today, I think there's 3 or 4 courses that I have to go back and check my bank statements, to be perfectly honest, because I remember doing the same thing, going, oh, that looks good and that looks good and that looks good, but then he never started. I'm actually in a coaching program, and you and I, a colleague of ours, James, the B2B school with James Tuckerman and John Iglesias and Simon Oglivy. And their program is, what I like about their program, it's all online. So even the webinars, the weekly training is actually a webinar. So it's not a live face-to-face meeting like we normally do. It's actually done as a webinar and people engage through the chat. That allows them to cut and slice and dice the content into resources that members can actually use in the future. So they can actually have evergreen content for their clients. They do that actually to save clients, not to sell outside. But what I love is and I discovered this because I felt really bad, every quarter I get a a dashboard of how I'm going in the course. And they've actually said to me, so they said to me, well, you haven't really engaged in the Facebook group. You've only had like one post in 3 months. And I was like, oh, okay. And you've only attended 20% of the weekly training programs, but you turn up every month for your one-on-one. So for me, I do it for the value I'm getting is the one-on-one conversations I have with John Inglesi every month. It's kind of, he's like my mentor and my coach, and we chat through stuff for online systems and growth in the coaching program. But it's also about me talking to another business owner who's had the same challenges and had the same, issues around growth or has experienced those. So for me, it's the one-on-ones that I value in that program. I jump in on the 2-hour sessions every week when I can, but I struggle to find 2 hours or 90 minutes every week on a Wednesday because I'm so busy at the moment. But that's the thing. They sent me a dashboard to say, what's going on? You're not playing. You're not engaging in this program. And I thought, how bloody clever. That just made me want to actually turn up more because they're monitoring what I'm doing.
It's so impressive. Yeah, you're being watched and and at the end of the day, they've got a vested interest in you to succeed because you've been investing in them.
Exactly.
And I'm doing a course in the States at the moment. It's probably realistically just finished, but I've barely started it. And the reason, what it made me realize is I can't do those anymore in the States with a time that I can't attend. They're 2 to 3 in the morning. I just can't do it. And so you say you're going to watch the recording, but do you? But also I can submit questions beforehand and they'll answer it. And then I can see that in the recording. It's not the same. No. So I feel incredibly frustrated and a little bit annoyed, to be honest. And it certainly has made me realize, and whenever I do a discovery Zoom with someone from the States that wants to work with me, and I have to get really real with them and say, look at our time difference. You're not going to get my best if I'm doing some one-on-one coaching with you at 7 o'clock at night. And while, we could find a way to make it work, it's not going to be my best. And therefore, is it, and then we look at their time and then, yes, they could join this and this and this, but then it's going to be at a terrible time for them. And so I'm the opposite to you, who's looking at, moving that into the States. I've been pushing them away and going, that just actually isn't going to work. So
it's funny though. I think because I started my first client was a Canadian client. So I was, pretty much once a week for 6 months. I was up at somewhere between 4:30 and 5 o'clock on a coaching call first thing in the morning. And I'm first thing in the morning. Yeah, I can switch on really quickly in the morning, and I've done it for so many years that it's habit now. Like, I still do gym at 5 in the morning, so it becomes a habit to get up that early and do that. But so I'm good in the morning, but equally I'm quite happy to jump on a call at 8 o'clock at night. As long as I'm prepped for it, as long as I know it's coming, and then I'm like, okay, let me get into, put my game face on. So I like that, and I enjoy that, but also it gives me, it means that I can be focused on them at that time. I'm not worried about what's coming in the day, and we can, you can have a little bit extra and we can kind of talk around what we need to do. But it comes back to that question of what works for you. And so often and I'm going to go back to your very first conversation, is that growth is not always good for everybody. And growth doesn't mean getting bigger. Growth doesn't mean having more staff, having more product lines. Growth can be, I've decided to actually change my pricing model so I'm more profitable. And in fact, I can get a better revenue with the same product at a higher price point, and people will actually like it more. Or it could be, I'm going to actually move to a volume sell. And if I'm going to shift from, a high cost product to a low cost product that gives me great value, that gives somebody quick value at a low cost, and I'm going to get a volume sale, and I might get growth that way. So part of the question about this growth is, do you want to grow, but how do you want to grow? And not comparing yourself to what other people do. Like, other people probably don't want to be like me and are okay. Pardon, sorry?
That's really what you think other people are doing.
Yeah, exactly. Because let's face it, social media is about us projecting the best version of ourselves, right? We don't project the 5 a.m. Jenni's going to the gym or coming home from the gym with mascara because I didn't wipe it off the night before face. We're not projecting all the kind of stuff that you do in the background to get yourself ready. Social media is about projecting the version of you, which is why I love your social media, and particularly your stuff, is because, when you've had incidents and you've had to be in hospital, you post it and you get these cool photos of you, because that's real. That's life, right? That's the balance that people often don't think about. And I think that's what makes it so important for us, I think, in our roles, is to be like, it's fine if you want to do this, but do you want to kill yourself? Do you want to kill yourself doing this? Is this kind of where you want to be? Do you want to be working 120 hours a week if possible? Like,
yeah, totally. When we think about how people connect with us, it's stories. So making sure that we don't need to share every single little bit, but certainly sharing so people feel that they are getting to know a bit of us. I think rather than just what they see as, this is just this incredible business, it's doing super well, let's have a little bit of real as well.
Yeah. I take so few photos of myself generally that I'm like, I got my team always saying, Jenni, can you send us a photo of yourself? And I was like, no, probably not, because I don't know if I have one. Like, it's that kind of thing, but that's just because for us, that's how we roll, right? We don't worry about the other, kind of photos and videos. We just get on and do it because it's not about us. But, more and more we need to start doing that to show people that business is great. A big business and a strong business is really great, but there is trade-off, right? It's me sitting here at 12:30 on a Tuesday and Wednesday night or on a Sunday afternoon, so I can get my stuff done, because not delivering for a client is the last thing that I'm ever going to do.
Absolutely. It's so important, isn't it? So basically, I guess we sum it up as, how do you want to grow? Do you want to grow? In what way do you want to grow? And do you actually need to grow?
Yep.
So,
and I think, do you need to is important.
Because you know what, maybe staying where you're at, maybe it's not bringing in enough revenue, but as you said, possibly raise the prices, or possibly have a different part-time job, because maybe that's where your business is at for a reason. And maybe just bringing in some additional income in a different way is the right thing as well.
Definitely. So lots of questions, but if I think on the last podcast, if you have a look at the one that we did a couple of weeks ago, I asked a couple of questions, and we might get the girls to pull off those questions and post them and send them out to the guys who've registered. But I think if you're interested in looking to grow, feel free to reach out to Kylie and I. We're happy to share our story and share the challenges we've had that may resonate with you and either help you grow or talk you out of it. One of the two.
Actually, you know what? That's so great, Jenni. And I just thought, what a perfect topic for next week. Why don't we talk about the worst things that have happened to us in business?
Love that.
Let's get real.
Let's do that. I think that's a great idea. So the worst things that are happening in business is what we're talking about next Friday.
All right. I really.
So how can we get hold of you though, Kylie, between now and next Friday?
You can jump online, hellomedia.team, and find all the links to connect with us through that. Book a discovery chat. That's probably the first place to start. What about you, Jenni?
Find us at Elephant in the Room AU on Insta and Facebook. If you put that into Google, you'll find all our channels. Again, you can connect with us through our socials, or you can send us an email and we'll book a time to chat.
Perfect. All right. Well, I look forward to seeing you next Friday, same time, same place, and another little live podcast. Off we go. Have a wonderful weekend, Jenni, and thanks everyone for joining us.
Thanks for joining us. Talk